So Ratchet and Clank was amazing. The story was a little bit difficult and had a bland story, but it was still a really fun game, and it did incredibly well, being the best-selling Ratchet and Clank game on the PS2, thanks to its fun gameplay, huge worlds, and hilarious character interaction that give this game its own personality, and also putting Insomniac up there with the other platforming giants on the PS2, so much that the three companies, Insomniac, Naughty Dog, and Sucker Punch, formed such a great bond. Well, more so, Insomniac and Naughty Dog than Sucker Punch anyway. I mean, you can even find cameos and Easter eggs in the others' games.
Sorry.
Hell, there's even a Sly Cooper and Jack and Daxter cameo in Rift Apart. Small spoiler there, I apologize about that. So anyway, Insomniac knew that it did good, so 1 year later, we got one of the craziest sequels ever made, Ratchet and Clank Going Commando, and with a name like that, it's, it's gonna be good. But unfortunately, it was changed in the UK and Australia as locked and loaded for obvious reasons. But for some reason, on the back of the US box art, it says picking asterisk $$ one planet at a time. But in the PAL version, they actually just say ass. You guys weren't okay with Going Commando, but you decided to make the joke on the back more obvious. Was that about Europe? Anyway, this game does a lot of new stuff with the formula, and it's a lot of fans' favorite Ratchet and Clank game besides the Cracking Time and Popular Arsenal. So let's see if this game really does deserve all the praise that it gets. And just like always, we're going to start off with the story. After the events of the first game, Ratchet and Clank become celebrities and are interviewed for a show called Behind the Hero. Ratchet states that people just don't need to hear him anymore, and conveniently listening, a man named Abercrombie Fizz-Widget, the founder and CEO of Megacorp, the galaxy's largest maker of consumer goods and electronics, worked a duel against their will and requests Ratchet's help to recover the stolen biology experience from a mask thief, while offering Clank employment in the company. Both of whom agreed to the opportunities offered. After completing the intensive training regime en route, Ratchet's tasked to travel to a flying laboratory on the planet Uranus, where the experience was last seen. But before he could retrieve it, the thief manages to escape with it. Reporting back to Fizz-Widget, Ratchet soon begins to pursue the thief, only to receive a video message showing that the culprit has captured Clank. So this game is more of Ratchet 1, and Sonic knew that it wasn't broken and hence didn't fix it, but instead added some new stables in the series, which makes Ratchet in this game a hell of a lot more powerful than he was in the last game. I mean, for the first quarter of the game, you only play as Ratchet without Clank, but now that he's not as vulnerable as he was in the last game, he will do most of the stuff without relying on Clank. From everything returning from the last game, Ratchet has his basic moveset back. He can backflip and long jump, high jump, all here. The level design is pretty the same, go from point A to point B while shooting as many minions as you can. So this game brings a lot of new stuff to the table. To start off, you can now pause while you change your weapons, which makes it less annoying switching weapons without worrying about an enemy hitting you when you're not able to prepare yourself for it. You can also throw your wrench and still deal with the enemies before it comes back to you, again making it less annoying when an enemy hits you and you weren't able to prepare for it. To be honest, this wasn't really much of a problem for me in the first game, but it's just a great addition. Probably the best thing that they added, you can strafe now. It makes attacking swarms of enemies way less frustrating than the last game. It was also pretty cool that whenever you attack enough enemies, your nanotech increases whenever your health increases. It colors the screen new to destroy everything that's gone around you once you do it. In the first game, you're only able to do that twice in some vendors. You can even purchase new armor that has different benefits, and with this new armor, it makes the game easier, or you could just go insane and just try to beat the game without it. You'd throw your controller out the window if you tried, but good luck with that because enemies will eat Ratchet's ass alive later on, and they won't stop until they get a pint of his blood. Even your weapon upgrades it once you use it frequently, giving it even stronger attacks, but unfortunately, it only upgrades once, but it's so cool that you can do that anyway. And level up your weapon is just so much fun, and honestly, you could probably just stop using your wrench as a means of attacking altogether, and repeatedly just spam these weapons for experience. It's not that the wrench is useless by any means. Ratchet swings it a whole lot faster, and you can get upgraded versions of one, but with the leveling up system, it's honestly not a lot of reasons for you to want to use your wrench anymore, since it doesn't really do that much in terms of combat. I was able to upgrade at least 5 or 6 weapons by the time I got to the final boss, but you can get weapon upgrades just by defeating aliens or robots. You can also get them by going into the Slim Cognitos, weapon mods, and buying them with platinum bolts, just to make the process faster. It even makes this feature better because of the fact that Going Commando has 18 all new weapons, some of them being the best in the series. The secret gun locks on to anything that it sees. The Lancer is pretty much the blaster from the last game. The Blitz gun, which is just a shotgun. The Lava gun, which shoots out a string of lava. The Mini Rocket 2, which shoots out missiles. the mini Turing glove, which is a glove that shoots out little turrets, the bouncer, which shoots out a big ball and explodes into mini bombs. It's a fan favorite for a lot of people, but it can cause the game to start dropping frames when you use it constantly. The plasma coil, which can shoot a ball of electricity and it can shock any nearby enemies. The pulse rifle, which is just a rifle. And my personal favorite, the hover bomb, which can shoot out a giant bomb and explode on your command. I use this a lot for boss battles and for those annoying enemies. It's also faster getting these weapons, so you get a lot more bolts faster. And I mean, bolts were everywhere in the first game, but here, you have this power up called the box breaker, which just breaks every single box around you and collects all the bolts for you. There's even one special vendor where you can get some of your weapons from the last game if you have Ratchet and Clank 1 saved on your memory card. Unfortunately, these weapons don't upgrade, and what sucks even more is that weapons which were glass cannons in the first game were completely nerfed just to make some room for the other weapons, which I can't understand, but why have these weapons back if it's just gonna be as useful as a used condom? Of course the gadgets making a return in this game. There's the slingshot and the grind boost working the same way they did in the last game, but there's a new replacement for the magma boost called the gravity boost, which lets Ratchet run at full speed and jump while running on walls. There's also the dynamo, where you can raise solid objects, do some pretty fun platforming, the tractor beam, which moves solid objects, the hypnomatic that takes control of some robots to do your bidding for you, and the thermomatic to do some water-based puzzles. These gadgets have their uses in the game, but they're alright. But there's always something to spoil the normal Ratchet gameplay, like these puzzle mini-games, which are kind of annoying, but at the same time, they're pretty addicting. I don't know how to explain it, but it's kind of fun just trying to figure out these patterns of these puzzles. Clank levels also return, and in my opinion, that these are pretty much stay the same. I still think that these levels are a pace breaker from the actual action, although I do like the new additions they added to them, like the boss that can fork bridges or use hammers. Then there's some sandbox design missions where you have to collect 100 crystals. You don't have to collect them all, you only need a quarter of them to get your ship repaired and a piece of a hypnomatic, but you could get them all just to trade in for some extra bolts. I don't really care for these levels, they're just pretty boring to me, except for the one in Gremlin, because Insomniac just decided that, hey, the last mission was just boring, let's make this one frustrating beyond belief. All I can say is that at least there's only 2 of them in the entire game. Next, there's the big Clank levels, which I don't really like either. They're good fun in the first game, but here, all the missions that involve the huge Clank are just tedious and annoying a lot of the time. I just wish that they kept the giant Clank levels the same from the first game. There's the maxi games, which is what these are called as opposed to mini games. These include the motorbike races, dogfights, and arena matches. The motorbike races are pretty cool, but they're just really fast, and it's really easy to me to accidentally ram myself into a wall. Kinda wonder what the general opinion is about the dogfight missions. Personally, I can't stand them. I didn't like them in the first game, and I don't like them here either. I think the controls are too sensitive, and the other pilots can just be really annoying. Thankfully, just like the sandbox missions, there's not that many. The arena battles are probably the best part of the game. You're thrown into an arena and then you fight as many enemies as possible. And you can also do some extra fights to pass the time or for some extra bolts. And with the fact that the weapons are pretty OP, it's no wonder why these became a staple in the series. Well, even got an entire game based around it. So the game's main collectible is the platinum bolts, and they pretty much work like the gold bolts did in the first game. You scatter around each planet, you have to do some kind of platforming to get them. Getting them all in the PS3 and PS Vita version gets you the Platinum Power Trophy and nothing else. Skill points come back too, and just like this time, I don't really care for these. So overall, the gameplay does have some of its problems, but I feel like here the good outweighs the bad. And with all the new additions to the formula, I think the way how the game is set up, I think it's better than Ratchet 1, and it feels more streamlined too. It also helps that this game isn't as hard as the first. I mean, some moments stand out for better and mostly worse. Again, not helping since the checkpoint system in this game feels really scattered. But I really like how the game plays though. There's even one level where there's a huge gauntlet of enemies, and you have to face off against a giant robot at the end, and you just assume that's the final level. Then they pull a switch on you, and you have another hour or 2 left. And I think that's a great idea. I mean, it's kind of annoying, but it's still a pretty funny idea. So now we have the presentation. This game really retained what made the first game look gorgeous. Every planet is vibrant and more diverse. The environments are really pretty, and the game has aged significantly well with its graphics. I mean, the character models look pretty much the same, but the movements are a lot more smoother and nicer looking, especially with the character interactions. Overall, I think this game's presentation is pretty top notch for a game that came out pretty early in the PS2's life. The soundtrack has that exact same futuristic sound that the first game had, like a lot of techno music and with some drum beats to boot. And a lot of them really fit in with some of the settings and tone that these levels are trying to set, like an adventurous sound for a nebula. A dramatic but at the same time upbeat sound for the Nebula boss fight. An electronic sound for Bolden. A really climactic feel to Megacorp HQ to tell you that this is the final level. It's kinda hard to choose Ratchet 1 or this game, which as a soundtrack I like better, but this game's soundtrack really does a great job on setting the tone for each level. Voice acting has also been improved, almost to movie standards. All the characters sound pretty good and no one voice sounds out any of the others or any of the music. This is probably the perfect time to bring up the fact that Ratchet got a new voice actor, and it's pretty obvious as soon as the opening cutscene. Just compare this to the first game and I'll let you figure out the differences yourself.
Where do you think you're going? We, still need to fix that arm.
Well, as you can imagine, we've been pretty busy. After Drek's defeat, there were parades, press conferences, fancy dress balls.
And the wiener roast at Al's.
Oh yeah, that. And then things started to slow down a bit.
This time, instead of Mikey Kelly, we have James Arnold Taylor, and he does a significantly better job. Not that Mikey's performance was terrible, I thought he did a pretty good job on capturing that cocky and egotistical personality of Ratchet, but his voice is too scratchy for him, and I think that James Arnold Taylor does a better job in that regard. And his voice sounds similar from the last time, that you would have to listen closely to find out the differences. See Sucker Punch, that's how you do it. Something that I forgot to mention in my review of the first game is that you can play the entire game all over again in New Game Plus with the weapons you already have, so you can get the weapons that you already need. Here is basically the same thing with a couple of differences. One, there's a bolt multiplier that upgrades every time you destroy an enemy, and it stops at 20. And then the second change is that the weapons that you already have another upgrade you purchase by using the bolts that you find. Plus the Rhino comes back being as overpowered as ever. And there's a new weapon called the Zodiac, which is a screen nuke that demolishes everything near you. These new aspects make this game's New Game Plus probably the best in the series so far. And one last thing, by getting all the weapons or weapon mods or just playing the game at 3 AM like I did, you can get access to the Insomniac Museum where you can get to see stuff like cut content, debug, and there's even an entire playground where you can mess around with. And it's pretty cool that you're able to play around in the testing room without using mods. So since I covered everything regarding the gameplay, let's get back to the story. After saving Clank from the thief's clutches, the reunited duo work together to pursue the thief across several planets, dealing with the mercenaries hired from Thugs for Less to protect the thief, until eventually confronting them on the planet Siberius. Although the thief escapes from them during a fight, Ratchet manages to reclaim the experiment and contacts Fizz the Widget, arranging a meeting to reclaim the experiment. Fizz the Widget accidentally maroons the duo on a deserted planet, where upon escaping for a network of caves, the pair are confronted by the thief, who accidentally exposes his true identity, a female Lombax named Angela Cross. And yet this doesn't ever become a plot point until this future saga. I guess Insomniac wasn't interested in overarching plots. Anyway, Angela tries to warn the duo that the experiment is a danger to the entire galaxy, but Ratchet and Clank are reluctant to believe her. Angela then gives it to a testing facility on planet Dobo, where it was created, and advises them to seek out the proof that backs up her story. Following her lead, the duo infiltrate the facility and discover a video recording that reveals the experiment to be highly dangerous and capable on a violent rampage. Has duplicated the experiment and intends to sell them as a new product called the Protopet. Ratchet goes to warn Fizz Widget during a promotional event being held at Planet Bolden, only discovered to be a trap by the Thugs for Less boss, after canceling their contract with Angela to work with Megacorp. Intent on stopping Fish Widget, the group head for Megacorp's headquarters. They discovered that the CEO is another disgraced hero, Captain Quark. In a bid to restore his reputation, Quark took over Megacorp as Fizz Widget, holding the actual Fizz Widget hostage, with the intention of unleashing the protopet upon the galaxy, so he can use a device created by Angela to defeat the creature and make himself famous again. When he demonstrates the device, however, it malfunctions and it transforms the original protopet into a gigantic beast that devours him. While Angela goes to rescue the real Fizz Widget, Ratchet subdues the protopet and saves Quark's life. With Clank's help, Angela fixes the device and broadcasts a signal through the Megacorp's TV transporters, neutralizing the protopets and restoring peace to the Begone galaxy. And just to make everyone happy, Quark gets his dick ripped off for punishment for what he just did.
So you tested this, right? Oh, wait! That's why I'm here! Oh, one more thing!
And that was Ratchet and Clank Going Commando. So this might be one of the most legendary sequels that has ever been made. While other sequels are just add some new stuff and tweak some stuff in the first game that didn't work, but Insomniac just went all out with this game. There's so much things out that not only made this game an immediate improvement over the first game, but transcends the first game. This game just feels more streamlined, the mechanics are fun to play around with, for the most part, and the presentation is still pretty after all these years. So I wouldn't recommend if you want to get into Ratchet and Clank, you start with this game and then come back to the first game just to see how to do at their start. However, that being said, I can't help but feel like a lot of this game's mission sections, other than the battle arenas or motorcycle races, can feel a little bit unnecessary, because a lot of them I just found pretty boring, or frustrating, or absolutely dreadful. I just kind of wish that they would have focused more on the normal Ratchet and Clank gameplay, to be honest, but that's just me. I hear that a lot of people enjoy these kinds of sections, and that's great if you do. When Ratchet and Clank 2 first came out, it received critical acclaim with 9s and 10s flying everywhere, and they definitely deserved them. This game would become a fan favorite for lots of Ratchet and Clank fans, and they would consider this game the best in the series, and I would definitely agree with the high praise this game got. But of course, there's still one more game in the trilogy, so I'll see you guys next time with Ratchet and Clank Up Your Arsenal, which was another innuendo, and it took a while for me to get that joke. But unfortunately, again, they changed the name of HAL Regions just to Ratchet and Clank 3. But anyway, let's shout out my social media. So if you want to see my current opinions about Sonic, Crash, Mario, or any other games, or any updates on video progress or just memes, follow my Instagram or Twitter because I'm on there constantly. I also have a Twitch. I stream there 2 times a week and we just kind of have fun there. Subscribe to the second channel for bloopers, Twitch archives, and other stuff. And finally, join the Discord server. We're not that active, but when we are, we just like to talk about our opinions about certain games or animes and other stuff. We're not a very toxic community, so you won't get attacked for your opinions. And we also like art, so if you're an artist, you should join. Because we like seeing all kinds of arts, and we're willing to give our honest opinions about them. So with that out of the way, thank you guys for watching, and I'll see y'all next time. Peace.